Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here, back with yet another tropical weather outlook and discussion video. I know it's been a few days, but I am back covering the tropics and then, well, unfortunately, back covering the severe weather as we go into mid-July and late July. We're going to talk about that at the end of the video, but I'll tell you what, things are going to be ramping up a lot in the next couple of weeks. So as we currently take a look at our tropical system as trying to form, you can see our area of spin just off the eastern coastline of Florida here, just north of the Bahamas. So we see our system here with our center of low pressure. We can't really tell where it is right now, but we're assuming it may be somewhere right within here. We have our associated area of spin, and it's kind of going underneath our thicker and taller cloud cover right now. And this is expected to move off to the west like this, kind of, the west-southwest, if you will, into the Gulf, and then possibly even further like this. And we're going to have to be watching this closely over the next few days. And unsurprisingly, the National Hurricane Center has outlined a yellow area here for a 30% chance of tropical development over the next week or so, and a 20% chance over the next 2 days. And, accordingly with that, the Climate Prediction Center has also highlighted a massive light red area here for a 20% chance of development. So NHC and the CPC are pretty much on board right now, and I am really glad that WeatherWise has this product, because it is really nice to see the agreement and the disagreement that certain agencies have when it comes to tropical weather, and will be very helpful for the rest of this hurricane season. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at this wonderful product here from the University of Wisconsin. We're going to take a look at our current wind shear on this system and where it is located. We're currently talking about around 15 knots of shear, which is really not a lot when you think about it, and means this system is in a rather favorable environment right now. Because basically what wind shear does is it will tilt your vortex like this. In order to get a really well-defined, organized system, you need everything to be vertically stacked like this, so you can have your updrafts going into your center of circulation. If it's like this, your updrafts are not going to go where they need to go, and thus your system will struggle. So seeing this here, definitely quite an interesting signal to note. And furthermore, we're going to take a look at your lower level vorticity right now. You can see your system right here in your yellow and orange areas here. This is a bundled up area of spin right now, and basically indicates that yes, in fact, you do have a consolidated low pressure system that has developed and can begin to intensify. So now that we basically talked about, where it is and everything like that, we're going to take a look here at our tropical weather triangle, if you will, and I'll draw it at the end of this demonstration here. We're going to be taking a look at our sea surface temperatures first, and you could definitely see these are very warm across the Gulf right now. Where the system is as of now, we are definitely talking about waters between 29 and 30 degrees Celsius here, so in your mid 80 degree Fahrenheit. But as we go into the Gulf here, where the system will be traveling to, look at your waters out here between 31 and 32 degrees Celsius into your mid to upper 80s in terms of your water temperatures. Could even break a low 90 in there as well. This is a very favorable environment in terms of your sea surface temperatures. Even over here, still talking about in between 29 to 30, anything above 28 is favorable. Now, here's your upper ocean heat content. Basically, do your warm waters extend really far down, or do they not? Well, where your system is going, we could see values out here really between 40 to 60 kilojoules. I believe that's what they say there. Basically, anything above 50 is relatively favorable. I'd like to see these more in the greens and yellows, like right down here in your loop current, but still going to be favorable enough to cause strengthening. Now, blowing on through here, we're going to look at your wind shear here from your GFS model. Basically, like I said before, you don't want much wind shear or your system will be shredded apart. So as we can see right now, like I said, around 5 to 15 knots of shear, and this is going to continue moving into a more favorable environment here over the next few days until, if you look right here, as we go into tomorrow and Wednesday, your system will be sitting right over 5 to, again, 15 knots of shear. Very favorable there. Your center will be able to align itself with its deep convection. And this continues on off to the west here, and maybe some wind shear, but we'll have to wait and see. This could go through kind of like this, with minimal wind shear the whole way with this very warm Gulf right now. This is something we really need to watch, and we're going to have to wait for our high resolution models to see if maybe this system can intensify it pretty quickly. I will have to wait and see. And I apologize, that was the European model. This is the GFS model. I'm going to make sure I have everything aligned perfectly. And you can see here, definitely going to be talking about lower values of wind shear heading into the Gulf. Now we're going to take a look at moisture content here. This is basically how much humidity is in the atmosphere. If you have dry air, it could impede on our system and could slowly kill it off. And we're seeing a bit of a moisture bubble that is quite evident here, especially on your southern end of your system. We're not talking about anything too dramatic on your northern side, so that is going to change, though, a little bit. You could see some more of your moisture trying to wrap in, especially as it heads to the Gulf, where your moisture plume becomes a little bit larger here, and more showers and thunderstorms will be able to explode and cause more tightening of your low-pressure system, which will induce strengthening gradually. And then it kind of just meanders there for the next few days. As we look at our GFS model, you can see it definitely has a little more sufficient moisture. That is a bit of a model bias, so please be careful when looking at your models. Your GFS tends to overdo things sometimes, but look at that in your Gulf. So again, we are talking about very favorable sea surface temperatures, quite favorable wind shear values, and quite favorable humidity values. So if we're taking a look at this here, on our tropical weather triangle, we have sea surface temperatures up here, wind shear down here on this side, and moisture content down here on this side. So all the information we have gone through already, we can infer, and we can see, because we already did look at it, we can see that our sea surface temperatures are very favorable, our wind shear is very favorable, and our moisture content is very favorable. So look at that, all three check marks. All three of these factors go together as one, and that will definitely promote tropical development here. Cyclogenesis could occur. And now we're going to take a look at your vorticity here, your low-level vorticity in your 850 millibar level from your European model. If you remember earlier, I showed you that graphic, of your orange colors. This is basically the same thing, how much spin you have in your atmosphere. And with this here, you can see a tightly bundled area of vorticity, and it gets flung off here. Interestingly enough, it starts off here, and it goes right up here into Georgia. This likely will not happen. This is a very unlikely scenario, as another piece of energy forms to its south and causes it to get flung around. Again, very inaccurate scenario here. I do not believe this will happen. However, your GFS model here has a more realistic picture. This all stays together. I will say a little bit less tightly packed here, a bit more, strung together like spaghetti, unfortunately. So a lot more disorganized. It goes into Florida, comes out the other end, and tries to redevelop down here in your Gulf. Look at that kind of broad area of your yellow colors and orange colors here of spin, a bit of a tropical disturbance here. And that is very far south. With your, favorable ingredients, this could really pull a surprise if we see our southern track verify. Your Canadian model, look at this. You can see it really becoming organized here. Look at that. Ton of your reds and dark red colors going on, making landfall in Louisiana here. Not a forecast, but does show you that the system does have some potential to cause problems and significant impacts. And for sure, definitely going to be talking about a stronger tropical system here as it becomes organized. And your whole precipitation depiction looks like this. We're going to do it off your GFS model, try and keep things more simple. You can see heavy rain does wind up falling across portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama here. Even your Florida Panhandle could get on some of the action as well. This is not a forecast, but you could definitely be talking about some increased rainfall along the Gulf Coast states. This will be heading into Wednesday and Thursday. Now we're going to take a look at some of your ensemble models here, and basically these are all your low pressure centers identified from all of your different members. And you can see it on your GEFS ensemble. Tracks through Florida here, and it really doesn't do much. It tries form to a disturbance, but then quickly fades away. I'll be honest, looking at satellite imagery and what we have, this really is not that realistic. I do expect further strengthening, especially as it approaches, say, the Gulf coastline here. I'm not going to say exactly where because we don't really know that yet. Let's kind of take a step back here and not get too specific. As we look at our EPS, or European ensemble, look at this. It identifies where your center is. It's a lot more tightly packed. And it really does develop here at the last second as it crashes into, say, Louisiana here. A couple of your members do show tropical storm intensity. So could this potentially be future Dexter on the horizon? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And this, you could see, definitely will be a rainmaker and a flooding concern. Definitely a flooding concern if it moves that slowly over those areas. And you can see it just moseys its way on through Louisiana, takes its sweet time, and dies out. Now, of course, it wouldn't be an Atmo Alex upload if we didn't talk about severe weather. Goodness, it has been active lately, to say the least, and it is not going to stop. We're going to look at your European model here at your storm energy. A major disclaimer is that this model tends to overdo storm energy a little bit. So later on, you're going to be seeing some absolutely wild numbers being printed from this model. All right, please, I'd likely subtract 2 to even 3,000 storm energy from some of the most intense images you will be seeing here in a couple of minutes. Here we go. You could see storm energy is like a bathtub here across the United States right now. You could see between 2,000 to 3,000 across, well, a very large area. Pop-up thunderstorms have been occurring, and that is exactly why. And with such high values of storm energy has led to significant flash flooding in some areas. And you can see as we continue through time, I'm going day by day here, and you could see it just staying there. And especially, look at this, as we go past the 20th of July, we're going to begin to notice maybe some more heightened values of storm energy in this general corridor here, further north, a little further south. But we're going to see a bit of a pattern that could set up, that could result in a ton of storm energy. This model here is portraying upwards of 8,000, even 9,000, which is just insane. And it is relatively normal to see that at this time of year. But the values we could be talking about, definitely significant. Look at that, 10,000. That is probably not going to verify, but if it did, significant severe weather episodes would occur through this time frame, through this area coming out of the northwest. We would definitely be talking about some very intense wind segments here with hail and even tornadoes as well. This is not a forecast, but if we do see a pattern like this, this could get very serious as we head on through into late July. And this really just continues. Look at this, 8,000, almost 9,000 storm energy, very active pattern coming on up. And this is definitely going to be well above average for this time of year. So please, if you live in the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, parts of your plains here, and even into, say your Appalachia region to your southeast, please crank your weather radios on high and turn on your emergency alerts on your phone just in case things go wild and break loose going into late July. And your CFS model agrees. Look at this. You're seeing your supercell composite here with your oranges and your red colors. This is accumulated, accumulated over week 2. So again, this is not in one day or a couple days, this is over a week, so it's a bit different to look at. But your severe weather hot spot is going to be in those areas across your Midwest mainly. And your GEFS graph here you go, your standardized anomaly, anything above 0 is above average, everything below 0 is below average. And you can see your line here where we are right now, right here, and we are going to be going on a steady upward climb, maybe a couple deviations, but look at this as we head past the 20th, really getting above average here. That's something we really need to watch closely. All right, and with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a bit longer than my previous videos because we just have a little bit more to go over. And honestly, look at your lower level center developing here on your tropical disturbance. Starting to see potential signs of it going further south than forecasted. This is something we need to watch for, because if it enters down here, has more time over the Gulf and more time over 80 to almost 90 degree sea surface temperatures. Please, you need to continue monitoring the situation, as the ceiling of this system is becoming a little bit higher by the hour. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, and share this video with friends and family on social media. Also, I'm proud to say that this has now been a year of me having this channel and giving you all comprehensive, detailed weather updates here on a kind of consistent basis. Again, I'm trying to get back into it slowly here, but I'm glad I could be of service to you over the past year, and I hope you found my content to be not only informative and educational, but also entertaining as well. I don't want to be that monotone, robotic weather enthusiast that just plasters information on the screen, throws, spaghetti at the wall and says, here you go, taking the information for yourself. I like to explain things in detail and make it easy to understand, while also adding a little bit of a personality twist to it as well. All right, everyone, stay severe and tropical weather aware and have a wonderful night, everyone.